Hello everyone and welcome to a new video, and today I want to talk about a company called Red Art Games. If you haven't heard of Red Art Games, they are a company that produces limited print runs of a certain indie type titles. A lot of these titles you guys have probably not heard of, and out of all the companies that do this, I haven't heard a lot of people talk about Red Art Games. I mean, I feel like they're like pretty much unknown, and I kind of wanted to bring attention to you guys about the company just in case a lot of you guys haven't heard of them. Now, most of the indie type companies that put out limited print games, they're usually like sold out, and I saw Red Art Games wasn't sold out, and from what I've seen, I don't think a lot of people really know about them. So in this video, I've chosen 3 games to show you from their catalog, and let's go ahead and get started. Now, the first game we're going to talk about is Stay. In Stay, you play as a character named Quinn, and right from the beginning of the game, something bad happens to him. He is actually kidnapped while he is sleeping, and that's a horrible thing to wake up to, a shadowy figure standing up over you. So he wakes up in a basement, like this dank basement, looking around, not knowing what to do, and the only thing that's available to him is a computer, and he sits on the computer, and he's actually talking to your character, and you're trying to help him out of his situation. He's pretty much, like I would say, of course, skeptical, and he thinks you're the kidnapper, but you have to try to talk to him and kind of convince him that you're not like the person who kidnapped him. And basically, you're trying to gain his trust in the game. Now, you'll usually be able to gain his trust just by answering common sense questions that he asks. You know, sometimes he might get hysterical, but just calmly just talk with him. And usually for the most part, you know, he'll listen to reason. Now, here's a gimmick with this game. So basically you're going to be talking with him, telling him what he should do to try to find a way out. Now, this game has I would say a real-time clock on it. So when you actually turn the game off, time is still going on for him. I actually made the mistake of playing this game, and I didn't play for I think a month or something like that. Maybe it wasn't that long. Maybe it was like 3 weeks. And when I logged back into the game, poor Quinn was dead. So you got to be careful don't forget to play the game, because like I said, time is going for him. And one time I actually I joined the game kind of late, and after I turned it off for a while, I think a week, 2 weeks went by once. And Quinn just didn't trust me, and he just cut off connection. So like I said, those are ways that lead to a dead end. And also, like I said, you could actually say something weird to him, and that'll kind of lead to a dead end as well, and you don't want to do that. The game has 7 different endings, I believe, and because I haven't beat it yet, but I know there's 7 endings. Of course, I want to go for the best ending in this game. You'll deal with stuff like puzzles, crazy mysterious looking cat, gross things in the restroom. This game is all over the place when it comes to discovering stuff. And as you talk to Quinn more and more in the game, you'll really want to help him try to get out of this situation. You're gonna find all kind of weird discoveries in this game, and it's like every chapter is a new surprise. Whether you find out that you have a bathroom down there with you, crazy cat down there with you, it's pretty insane. And I'm liking it so far. You know, I would call this game this is definitely a horror game. It reminds me of the movie Saw, where you were isolated in the restroom pretty much. But with that movie, you had another person in there with you to interact with you. All Quinn has is the computer with you on the other side. But lastly, I want to say, be careful what you do in this game, because every decision counts, and some decisions will pretty much possibly lead to your end. If you remember Geku Urban Fighters for the PS1, you know that game was a gem, but a lot of people don't know it had a sequel. The sequel came out on the Game Boy Advance, and guess what, folks? The sequel was ported to the PS4, and here it is right here. Now, I originally was after the Game Boy Advance version for years, and I just kind of like forgot about it. And that game has risen in price, so I kind of just forgot about it. And that version was also only one player, but this version on the PS4 is actually two players, so that's a good thing right there. Now, as much as I was happy about that, the game is just a straight port, from what I'm seeing, of the Game Boy Advance game. So, just imagine 32-bit graphics on the PS4 pretty much. And a lot of you guys don't notice it, but the Game Boy Advance was a 32-bit, well, is a 32-bit system. Not saying this game pushed it to its limits, but I think it did a really good job on the system. But playing it on the PS4, it looks, well, it's dated. And another thing about this game too is that it's a platform beat 'em up. So there's certain parts in the game where you're gonna have to jump over stuff, and it really feels awkward. You have to be very, very careful on those parts. I don't like how it doesn't flow right with a beat 'em up game. I think a beat 'em up game should just be straight beat 'em up. Usually you could change things up, but don't have anybody jumping over anything or like that, because it sucks when you have energy and you got to save it for those enemies and then you lose a life because of some silly jump. But even though the game is dated, it still does look good if you compare it to how it came out back then. I think they did a good job when it comes to like cinematic scenes in the game. Like you'll be walking around and all of a sudden like a cutscene will come up with the characters, and I think those look really good. I would like to see like something like, even though they added a two-player mode into this game, that they could have added something like two-player mode with the CPU, so you have like the computer control your other partner. I think that would be pretty cool in this game. But other than that, though, that's my thing about this game. I think it's a cool game. It's not as good as the first game, but it's more a continuation of the story, kinda. And I think they did okay on it, man. I gotta play it a little bit more, of course, get used to it. But if you are into beat 'em up games, platform beat 'em up games, that is, you might like this. But honestly, I would pretty much go with the first one first and play that one, and then see if you want to play this one. I don't know, maybe I'm just being biased, but the first one was really on point. I mean, it had the awesome soundtrack by Fatboy Slim. It was just a good game. I think it was one of the better beat 'em up games on the PlayStation 1 system at the time. I remember that game called Fighting Force, and that game was just like, yeah, it was okay for the first hour or so. Then it was the type of game you get tired of. But Urban Fighter on the PS1 was a game that was just awesome all the way through it. And next up, we have Full Blast for the PS4 system. This is a vertical shoot 'em up. And honestly, playing this game, I figured that this was probably on some kind of mobile device, probably before it came to the PS4. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad game by any means. I think it's a pretty good game. I would say it's more average or slightly above average. And the reason I say that is because the game, from what I've seen, only has like 3 different types of levels. Well, looking levels, I would say themes. They have the freaking city level you're seeing right now, the ocean level, and then they have the jungle level, and that's pretty much it. Now, I don't know how many stages those levels have, but I know that's pretty much all there is when it comes to visuals. But I do like how the game kind of like changes things up by doing like scrolling around and everything when you're fighting the boss. It is one of those shoot 'em up games where you kind of like see the environment, enjoy how the graphics look pretty much. I would honestly like to look at this game as pretty much a beginner shoot 'em up for people who want to get into shoot 'em ups. You know, it's not too fast paced. You know, it's not a bullet hell, thankfully, so bullets are not all over the place confusing people. You know, it's something simple to get into. It's not, like I said, it's not the best like shoot 'em up out there, but it is decent, like above average. You know, I would probably give it a higher ranking if it had like more like different looking levels pretty much. You know, I feel like with the only 3 themes, you know, you're looking at the same stuff. You know, they may change things up a little bit by add a little bit, but you can tell like, hey, I'm going through the same track, and you know, it gets kind of monotonous after a while. So even though this game is not no Coulter's Blaze or Raiden 5, you know, it's still, like I said, it's a decent game. And if you're a fan of shoot 'em ups and you're a collector of shoot 'em ups, it's another shoot 'em up as a physical release, which is always a good thing, because it seems like shoot 'em ups these days are, well, for a long time, it's a niche genre, and you know, anything we can get on a physical format is a good thing. And now we'll look at the packaging for these games. KINTARO'S Revenge comes with an art book. Pretty cool. Shows the second character. Lots of sketches and all that good stuff. And, you know, pretty much what you would expect from an art book. And it also comes with stickers as well. And the game, of course, but unfortunately, no manual. So you'll get all this in this big box. It feels kind of hollow, but it's all right. Stay actually comes with a manual, thankfully, and it comes with a little pin button. So I thought that was pretty cool. Good, really good packaging on this one. You know how I feel about manuals. And it comes with a DLC code that I haven't used yet, so I have to see what it is. And next we have Full Blast. Yeah, nothing in this thing, but hey, like I said, it's a shoot 'em up on a physical format. And then also check out Red Art Games, guys, and let me know what you think. Radical Reggie, and I will see you later.